Rachel
I hadn't
was
heard that yet.
just last night.
Oh, good.
It's on the Groton Democrats Facebook page.
It is.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So let's see. Does anyone need introductions, or do you all remember each other's names?
I remember everyone.
I know Donnie and Marie. Okay, good. We're all good. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order at 12:04. And Marge, you're sort of taking minutes for us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Great. And I'm gonna move, let's see, how many of us? 1, 2, 3 official. So I can move both Dana and David up from alternates to voting members for today. For today only, yes, it's not a permanent change, it's just your today. If you want to vote, you can.
Okay, good.
You don't want to, you don't have to. Not that there'll be a lot we're voting on, I don't think, but. And the one piece of business not on the agenda, you just heard me talking to David. There is an opening for a regular member. Don's applying to be a member, and he could have moved into the regular member spot, but if David's willing to move up, it makes sense to have, you've been on for a bit, it makes sense to move you up to regular, and Don can become an alternate, and that's the way I recommend, if that's okay with you. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So there'll be paperwork I have to do, and that will take months to go through the Personnel and Appointments Committee. Maybe by our next meeting, we'll see. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from September 20th, which came to all of you in your packet. Yes,
I can make a motion.
you can.
I'm,
Oh, how exciting.
I move we accept the minutes as delivered.
Is there a second?
I should make the second, just to make this official for us to be part of the meeting.
Absolutely. Any corrections, questions, typos, anything in the minutes that anybody? Yeah, I didn't see anything. The minutes looked good to me. The schedule of meetings, there are some things that I want to talk about, some typos and changes, but I don't think that counts as part of the minutes of the last meeting. Because I think
we did. That was the last meeting.
Was it from the last
Yes.
meeting? If it was, then there are a couple of things. If you look at the schedule, the little asterisk is down at the bottom. The June meeting will be held the second Wednesday of December. No, I don't think so. The June meeting will be held the second Wednesday of June. So that's a typo. So that you can take this back to Lauren. So the June meeting will be held the second Wednesday of December. Oops, that should be June.
I'll do that.
I think it should probably say meetings will continue to be hybrid rather than virtual, because our meetings are hybrid, not virtual. And I would suggest changing the wording up here. All meetings are held quarterly on Wednesdays at 12 noon. And just delete this on the third Wednesday, since we're doing the first Wednesday one week, the second Wednesday, and 2 third Wednesdays. So so I'm just changing, just cross off the end of that.
And then December.
So did you? So it's basic meetings will be hybrid, not virtual. The June meeting will be the second Wednesday of June. And then up here, cross off this last phrase. And insert, all meetings will be held quarterly on Wednesdays at 12 noon, but not specify which Wednesday of the month, because one of them's the first Wednesday, one's the second. two or the, so it was the easiest way I could think of to fix
Makes sense.
that.
Mhm.
All right, now, is everybody okay with those proposed dates? I guess we floated them last time. They worked for everyone good. Okay. So we have a first and a second to approve the minutes, which includes that meeting schedule for 2024. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Unanimously approved the minutes of that meeting
As amended.
as amended. Thank you. Public communications, citizen participation. I don't think we have anyone. I had one communication to share. I received a phone call from the owner of a mobile home park in town who had heard about the housing rehabilitation funds and wondered if any of his tenants, people who own a mobile home, are they eligible to apply for housing rehab funds if they need to do work on one of their mobile homes?
Yeah.
You know the answer offhand, or is that something you'd need to check?
I would need to check that,
Okay.
because a big part of, the challenge with mobile homes is, how less mobile are the mobile homes, and, because, a big part of the program is that it's a revolving loan. So you have to be able to pay it back once you sell the home
Right?
or transfer ownership of that home. So if,
I think these are
Yes.
permanent. I mean, it's a mobile home
Planters,
park, but
mobile
these
home
are, these are not trailers that
Yeah.
people are traveling around the country in. These are their homes.
I understand that. I'm just saying, so there's those components.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that, and then also, there's, loan to value, calculations that we need to do.
Okay,
So, it's not a simple yes or no, but, in the current program with the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant is, that you have to be, 80% LTV, loan to value on that property, in order to qualify. And so, there's those type of factors that go into the calculation, and also income eligibility, and,
Yes.
so.
sure.
But definitely have them contact me, and I can send them the program guide and the application form. So I for sure would say encourage them to apply at least, yeah.
Just a question, that's the state LGBT. Yeah, LGBT.
No. CDBG.
Yes.
That one, yes. my
Community
goodness.
Development Block Grant.
Sorry about that, but
That's okay.
anyways, starting our own town. Will that also be the process?
So we are in communication. I'm glad actually you guys bring this up. We are in communication as to that is one of the amendments we are looking to include in our flexibility in the program.
Okay.
And then there's the legal side of it, and ensuring that the type of work we can do actually is fair, not just for mobile homes, but for anyone in the town with.
Like if they need a furnace or a new roof or whatever.
That type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
Okay.
It's like we cannot renew the mobile home, right? The
Right.
whole thing, and so there's that language we're working on still, yeah.
Okay.
And then also,
I just comment?
You can comment.
Well, when you said loan to value of 80%, my own history or understanding is mobile homes do not increase in value, they only go down in price, so that would be an issue, but I just have to ask if anybody here knows what a pushback is.
No, other than, I don't like something you said and I pushed back on it. No.
When we were living in Maine, our builder, a native or whatever, explained to me what a pushback was. And when your mobile home gets so run down that you can't live it anymore, you push it back on the lot and you put another one in front of it. And sure enough, you drive around and you'd see them. And in the back, when they'd store their lawnmower or their junk, whatever, it was, I mean, to me, it was a real issue because you just had this accumulating
Yeah.
sort of trash kind of.
Right.
I just thought the expression pushback.
Wow.
I do find though,
Literally.
in today's economy with housing so desperate,
Oh, yeah.
they are not losing value.
Well, that could be.
They don't own the land, they own their own.
Right,
Yeah.
they rent the land, but they own their own building.
So there's those kind of things we're trying to work through. Paige, Bronk, and I, we go back and forth around. You'd sometimes play the devil's advocate, and now sometimes, we go back and forth around designing it to ensure that we are able to realize as much of the not foresight, but like kind of account for different scenarios and ensure that we offer the best product and again for everyone in the town, not necessarily one particular group.
Sure.
Those who qualify.
So for now, we'll say that it's a question. We're not sure if mobile homes are eligible under the CDBG program, and then this new program for my own, so I don't get confused, I'm calling it the ARPA,
Yes.
Housing Rehabilitation,
Yes.
because the ARPA funds, they're the rescue plan funds are what were used to create that other fund. So guidelines for that program are still being developed.
Yes, we're very close to being done with it. Actually, we are also working on the contract or RFP for the contract for consultant we'll work with that program too. So doing a little bit of parallel, defining the program structure and also how operations will go through with that one.
Great.
Now,
So-
do they have to be approved by the town council?
No,
Okay,
no,
Just-
it's again, that's where you build in the standard. Our requirements for the consultant are strict because we want to make sure that they know how to do the work and they will be fair and ensure that whatever resources we are utilizing are used correctly and not just without
Right.
experience. Yeah. So
It's
we
a
have to
different
maintain.
kind of
Yeah.
From the RFPs
Okay.
for developer, this is to the town looking for a consultant.
Yeah.
That's a routine kind of RFP that the town does all the time.
But they have to be experienced. So we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was under public communication. I just wanted you to know that this gentleman did call. So the word is spreading a little bit about the housing rehabilitation
Mhm.
programs, and that's a good thing. All right.
one last one to
Oh,
tell you.
sure.
My daughter called me. You're on the committee. She says, are you aware that when they get their houses rehabilitated, they don't have to pay it back until they sell it or die? I said, yeah, you didn't know that? She goes, no. I said, no, welcome to my world.
Thanks for calling your mom.
Talk first.
That's kind of the whole point of the program. It's a zero
Exactly.
interest loan.
And I
for
think I've
people.
discussed this with her before, but she's very busy.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot on her mind. A little bit.
I think I communicate with residents, homeowners a lot, and that's the point that they seem to not be sure about. It's
Right.
really, and they're surprised to find that out. Is that like you don't have to pay anything up front unless if you want modifications that do not qualify, then that's on your expense. But for the program cost itself, yeah, it's all upfront expenses paid for. Yeah.
Which is why there's income guidelines, and that's
Mhm.
only available to people who need
Yeah.
assistance. Okay, let's move to the CDBG Small Cities Grant for 2024. What's happening with that?
I have my notes here to make sure
Sure.
I cover as much as I can. We've separated the grant writing component from the grant management. Historically, what that would be is whatever consultant we work with. And then when I say consultant, I don't mean anyone. There's a small group of consultants out there that are experienced with this state-specific CDBG Small Cities Program. They have to be certified through the state too. What we've done now is we've separated the grant writing component from the grant management. Grant management requires insurances and other policies be in place in order for you to qualify for for managing this type of program with us. And so that deters or kind of is a challenge for a lot of the smaller organizations that would otherwise help us work with our grant writing component. And I think that provides an opportunity for, much more smaller firms to, partner with us and, work on our grant writing and not necessarily have to carry the weight of the requirements that are in place for managing the funds once that occurs. Yeah. And in part two, the grant writing component, if you separate it, you're much more able to realize how much that truly costs. And so once they package it together with, all the management components, it seems to be a large number and it's justified. But when you separate them, you say, just for this, we're better able to get a better, I would say, better deal just on that, because the work is much more shorter list and there's an itemized detail of, what it's supposed to cost, and so hopefully that works out as we're trying this out for the first time. The RFP for that has gone out. We've received a couple of proposals and review of those. We'll do interviews, I believe next week, Friday, with some of the applicants just to kind of go over some of the things they detailed in that document.
And that's for the writer.
Yes, just the writing component.
Writer.
Some of the writing, I'm sure some of you know already, but some of the writing components, not just the writing aspect of it, it's collaborating with the subrecipient, say, housing authority, the town, and the state, and you are kind of the liaison between the three entities. The state has requirements before you even apply for what you need to have completed, such as the public hearing. You need to have posted the project, the proposed project ahead of time. You need to collect certain documentation or data about, what you're applying for ahead of time. So it has components to it. It's not just the writing part of it. It's kind of, you're the partner that specifically focuses on this project with us. Yes.
If we go ahead and apply for a CDBG grant next year, do we know which sub-applicants are interested?
So then my next bullet point, well, you guys don't have this, but as much as my notes is, we've developed an intake form. Reason why I've worked with, you met Lauren earlier, and some other people in our team, is to create a database of what work needs to be done in the community. Historically, we'd have communication with either one organization or the other, or make a promise for next year to work with someone else. But I think the intake form is not meant to complicate anything, but it's just to capture that early information about what project you want to work on, who you are, what's your organization, are you even qualified or authorized to, apply for this grant. And so my goal with that one is to capture as much as we can. We may not be able to apply for everyone, but at least have that data in hand so that we know, okay, these are the, say, 6 projects that need to happen in the town. Whichever one we end up deciding to apply with, other funding sources that we're working towards acquiring, these are the other 5 projects. How can we utilize those resources in order to best meet some of these other needs in the community? Because right now we are not able to answer that question.
Okay.
That is there,
So you haven't identified a sub-applicant yet.
we're in communication with some, but we haven't gotten to that phase in the process of saying just you is who we're working with. And I think the part of that intake form is to help us also, identify, which one needs this work done sooner than the other one, and kind of make that determination.
Any questions about that? Anybody? No? Okay. Anything else about the CDBG for 2024?
As I said, we are in communication with a few organizations, and then a big part also of why this intake form I've thought that it's important for us to have is so that we don't repeat previous mistakes where an applicant said they were ready. We trusted they were ready. We went forth and applied, found that they weren't ready. And so we have had to retract our application because, the subrecipient wasn't truly as ready as they thought they were, and so the intake form will help kind of push that along early on and say, okay, do you have these things in place, so.
Mhm. Okay.
Hopefully it works.
Yep. Uh-huh. All right, good. Do you know when the application date is for the next round of CDBG?
So I've worked out like a general process for applying for the CDBG program.
Mhm.
Late fall is a good time to start finalizing of the previous year is a good time to start finalizing the subrecipient you'll be working with, because it has to go through the town council. There's public hearings that needs to be scheduled.
Mhm.
So that's January, February dates, and the intent to apply is due mid to late April. That's through the state.
So they've moved it back. It used to be January, but it's like late April. the
Yes, late
actual-
April,
okay.
yeah. For larger communities, those who are 50,000 or more, I think they still have earlier dates, but through the small cities program, it's late April, you submit your intent to apply. And in order to submit that, you need to have met all those other prerequisites. And so it seems like there's a lot of time, but really there isn't.
Right.
Like, but
Yeah, okay. Well, that sounds good. Excellent. Okay. Anything else there, or should we move to the housing rehabilitation? Yes, CDBG housing rehabilitation update.
Last time I communicated with you, we had one house that was in the initial phase of the construction or modernization, if you want to call it that. We had about 8 or 9 applications that were under initial review, going to final review. This was September, I believe, sometime in September. So application 2 to 4 is now past the final review. Environmental review is going into place, and SHPO assessment is also being conducted. What that is, historic preservation, there's requirements that they do have to meet too. So you cannot just work on a home. You need to make sure that it's doesn't violate any of
is that
those.
just in the historical district?
They need to see the addresses, and they have a whole form, and they need to say, okay, yeah, no, this is not a problem. You know, I mean,
Okay.
you don't make that determination on your own. So 2 to 4 has gone through that, and we've put out bids for some of the work that needs to occur. We're starting to see initial pricing, and so that work is going to place. We received inquiry about more housing rehab applications.
That was my question. Do you have
Uh,
any idea how many sort of applications you have it?
We have 12 applications in process right now. There's about, if you want to count them all, that from printing, maybe 20. But quite a few applications with the homeowners, they haven't submitted them.
Mhm.
And so I don't count those yet
Yep.
as those received. Another thing too about the process that I've had to communicate with the homeowners, and I think we need to make that addition in our program guide, is it's not like the private sector. You don't call Monday, we come Tuesday, we start work Friday, right? There's we're not like that. And I think that's a component that maybe homeowners don't seem to understand. It's like, especially working with, high level of government, especially not just local, but state, and then you got federal funds that you're using to, there's forms and, application, you have to submit all these things. So it's not a quick process. And so, and I understand homeowners sometimes get frustrated that it's taking a while. And then another thing too, as we're working through the list, there's a list of people that have been waiting for their turn in place. And so we cannot just jump over those people, unless if it's an emergency. I've communicated that to homeowners. If it's truly an emergency, we can have a review done and see, if it's truly an emergency, or, how we can help best. But people are getting frustrated and don't want to wait. And yeah, I understand. I know that, yeah.
However, for essentially free money, right?
It's-
A degree of patience and understanding.
Yeah. But I have worked with our consultant, who's an expert in working with the state on this program specifically. to try and speed up some components that we
Mhm.
can, understanding that, there's forms and all these other things that they need to do. So one of the areas that we're trying to speed up is separating the final review and site visits from the work.
Mhm.
Because historically what they do is they'll do I'll do the initial review, he'll do the final review, and then we'll discuss and finalize the decision based on the program requirements, and then he'll schedule a site visit on the first home, and then he'll make a list of the work that needs to be done in the first home, put that out for bid, start work on the first home, finish work on the first home, and then we start the review on the second application.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do is have us separate those two and do the review process and the initial inspection separate, and then just go through the work as we need to that way too. So
The other thing people have to understand, if you have 12 applications and there's more out there that might come in,
Mhm.
we only have a pot of money that might only fund 10 projects.
yeah.
So if the money's gone, people who are 15th or 17th
Yeah.
on the list need to understand there might not be money
Yes, yeah.
by the time it gets to them. So we need to all understand that if we hear complaints about any of this.
And that's what I communicated last time, is that the funds that are in the account, over 300,000, it seems like a lot, but if everyone is eligible for up to 35,000 each,
That's
10
10 projects.
it's very quick. Not that it's always the case. Sometimes we'll find work for maybe 18,000, 12,000, some homes. You know what I mean? So it's not always 35, but if that's what it ends up to, it's a challenge. But I do also want to encourage people to apply, because that list, we work off of it first. So whenever there's funds, we go down that list. We don't change the list. We don't go down on a new list now.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
35,000, does that include the inspectors and the paperwork? Or is that just
All the
building?
work, yeah, construction focused. The program has a percentage that they'll allow to be spent for administration, soft costs and those type of things, not to exceed a certain amount, separate of the loan to the homeowner.
Okay,
Yes, yeah. So that even that cost too, then,
exactly.
yeah. Just,
Okay,
Does that cost come out of the 200,000 or 300,000 that
yes,
we have left?
it's in the
Okay.
program, so it's the program fund.
That's program money, but each
Yeah.
person is allowed 35. Okay, so
Yeah.
the money could go down quicker.
Yeah, so the town doesn't pay for it, but
Right.
it's a program that we run for the town through the
Exactly.
state. Yes, sir.
okay. All right. Anything else on the CDBG housing rehab update anyone wants to know? Once, come twice, okay. CDBG 21 grant program update. Oh, the PPE stockpile.
Yeah,
We talked about that last time in terms of masks and COVID tests and sanitizer, and where are we with that one?
so still in communication with DOH with regards to what we can spend funds on outside of what we had applied for. So that's the challenge, right? What we applied for, and I think something that I've come to realize too, what we needed in 2020 for the pandemic has evolved to what we need now. You know, I mean, it's not all the same. People are not preventing or protecting themselves from the pandemic the same way we thought we would need to in 2020, and so there's that evolution that needs to occur in what we are providing to for support for that. Some things true, yes, like masks and test kits, like those things probably are.
They can be,
still the need.
it's clear they
Yeah.
can be paid
There's
for.
still a need for that. Yeah.
There's still a need for sure.
I've communicated with some of the organizations that we are distributing through, such as the Thrive 55 and library, human services department, to see what they need, not what they need, if they need any of the supplies we currently have, and I haven't received much communication of the supplies that they need. in part because there have been other agencies, I don't want to name names in particular, but that have also distributed supplies. And in some areas, I've heard complaints that people dumped COVID supplies on them, and so I'm not trying to now also go throw my power around people too, but be more strategic in how we are using what we have and kind of respecting people's organizations, and how they do things.
Do we have a stockpile of tests, COVID tests?
No, but that was put out there as to what you need. But the organizations have to tell me, yes, we want or need this for me to,
They know they need to.
Yeah, and I communicate a list of what's there with them, and
But when you say organizations would need to communicate, so here, let me do it this way. I'm a believer, if we have funds and we can buy tests, I think we should be buying some tests and making them available for free.
that's what we. Oh, sorry.
And so my question is, if the senior center wants tests, do they have to communicate to you that they would like some tests?
I
And then-
communicate to them and tell them this is what we have.
But we
if
don't
they-
have, but right now we don't have tests.
That's your communication, but through the senior center and not just Thrive 55, but the entities that I work through, if they are not responsive in what they need, I can't. What we've done, for example, the test kits, we had test kits, and remember some of them expired because they weren't.
Sure.
And so I don't want to keep doing that because that's just wasting resources. If you're going to keep buying a stockpile of test kits and their expiration date is much shorter than all the other things that we have. So if I could have a direct, allocation, then when we make those purchases, that we know exactly, that's the need.
But what's the avenue? I mean, you need to ask them first? Do they need to ask you? Do they know they need to ask you so that you get updated
I
expiration?
always ask. I'm always asking. They're probably annoyed from hearing from me about the same things.
So you're saying the senior center has not given you a message
Yes,
that they would like to have some
Mhm.
free tests
yes,
to provide to their
yes.
clients? Okay. And Human Services hasn't said that they would like,
Some of them have confirmed that they've received the message. Yes,
okay.
and so
So if you called her and said, I am placing an order, how many would you like? To each entity that you work with.
and understanding
And
they
then you get so many, they say, okay, I need 100 or you need 200 or whatever. And you get a final total of say 500. That's all you buy.
that's what I'd like to get to. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
And
No waste there.
yeah, and to understand, they received, some of these entities have received the same things from other organizations too, in the area, and so.
Yeah, but the senior center doesn't have free tests. They have masks. You have masks here, which is, I think is great.
Yeah.
Glad
try to
those
save a
masks
couple.
are available. But I'm it's hard for me to believe that the senior center wouldn't like to have tests available, and that Human Services wouldn't like to have tests available.
Well, I didn't say they don't have them. Like I said, some of them have received similar things from other organizations too. Yeah.
Okay, but what I'm saying is I haven't seen them available at the
Okay.
senior center. There's nothing there to indicate that they have free tests available to people, right?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so,
They have free bread.
so I'm just gonna pursue that.
that's-
Try to figure that
good.
out.
Yeah, I know.
Every week they still have a shopping cart full of all the.
And recently, I did distribute to the library gloves, masks, um, hand wipe, those white packets,
Mhm.
disinfectant white packets, quite a few, like a box of those. This was last week, and some of the disinfectant sprays too, they could use in their rooms. Yeah.
Have you,
So- So some do
distributed-
respond, sorry, but yeah.
have you distributed those to like the police? Because they actually touch a lot of people or
I've
in close
communicated.
contact.
I've communicated with the police, the fire departments too. There's a Quantic Bridge Fire Department now. They've received quite a few of again, it's responsiveness and because I mean, there's no benefit in us keeping the stockpile, right?
No.
Its intent is to be used as much as possible by the public, yes.
Okay.
Is there, I know that you're trying to clarify what other things could you use the
Mhm.
money for? Are there other things that you would like to use the money for? If you get the word, yes, you can use it. I mean, does staff have ideas of other things to use the money for? Or no?
The question there is, use the money for that is COVID related.
Right.
There are other needs in the community that would definitely benefit from the funds.
Right. No, I meant COVID
But
related.
specific to, I mean, you could link it to rental assistance, but then the argument is, the period, but with the spread of, the virus again, kind of climbing again, so there's different things. I mean, some of the discussion was doctor's visits of some sort that pertain to testing or, COVID related illnesses and things like that. But again, with that, it's open ended, right? It's not necessarily criteria that
Okay. Anything else on?
Is it COVID related to pay unemployment benefits for the people at Pfizer?
No.
See what I'm saying? But you could- How about the medical, the drugs that you take when you get COVID?
Paxlovid, Paxlovid. For uninsured people, maybe, or because most people with insurance, their insurance would pay, but.
then distribution, is that through a doctor? Is that, something that
Yeah.
we hand out in
It's,
public, so it,
prescription.
so but I'm not against it, if that's something, and then again, we'd have to get approval from the state to,
I think it's pretty much only Paxlovid's recommended for seniors who are probably mostly on Medicare. And
Right.
Medicare is gonna pay for it, so there probably isn't a large pool of people who can't pay for
It's 55 and above.
Paxlovid. Could be.
Just an idea.
Yeah, no, good question. Pay. The 66,000 we have ballpark,
Mhm.
whatever it is. Does that money, do we have it in hand? Does that money run out if we don't use it by a certain time?
yes, it's a reimbursement, and that's the component that I'm a little bit more trying to be more strategic with, is to ensure that if we spend those funds, that we will get reimbursed. Because we could spend those funds, but it'll be out of the town resources.
Right.
And if the state says, oh no, this is not eligible under this grant,
You don't get it back.
yeah. And
Understood.
so that's a component. It's not just,
Good.
it's not that
Understood.
simple. It's not like
Okay.
a credit card that I'm.
Yeah. If you could find out for us, when does that money become no longer available?
So as of right now, there's discussion, about 3 months from today, actually speak to DOH today. We could file for an extension, or later than that.
So might only be available for 3 more months.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's a state program, this money?
Well, it's
Oh,
through
no,
the
it's through CDBG,
too,
so
yeah,
it's
it is,
federal,
yeah.
okay. Might only be available for 3 months, okay.
But our funds come through the state. We are not.
Understood. Yep, the federal money flows to the state and then to us. Yep. That's how it works with CDBG, yep, okay, all right. Well, I'm a believer in ordering some tests. I'll put my vote in, even if it's, you want to do just a few hundred or something, not a huge mass of them, but having tests available for the next 3 months makes sense to me.
This time of the year, so.
'Cause we're testing, our doctor says test anytime you get what you think is a cold. Because
Hmm.
these
Sore throat.
days you don't know if it's COVID. And if you have COVID and you don't know it, you're out there spreading it. So we really want people testing.
Yeah, we had tests and, you know, proposed them be used before they expire, you know, and then people said they had enough, you know, and so.
Yeah, but it's different now. They're not available the way they were and
So
insurance.
this is this year, not even far back, you know. And so some of them had to expire and I can't force, you know,
Oh, no,
them
of
out,
course.
you know, at that point. It's,
Yep.
Some site you go to check the
Mhm.
numbers on your test to see whether there's an additional expiration
Yep.
extension on them, so.
Well, yes,
yeah.
we reviewed that, and even that period passed, and, you know, so it's not as simple as just buying, you know, it's ensuring that use is gonna be there, and I don't wanna not connect that link and just make purchases and then not have a distribution plan in place, you know, so I'd rather secure the distribution plan and know, okay, you know, the 5 people that are here said this is what the need is, and so when I make the purchase, then we can work on that, yeah.
Okay, let's see, Neighborhood Assistance Act. We talked, and we knew there were nonprofits that applied and got approved. And the question was, were they going to be able to find businesses who would provide the funds? What's the update?
The state hasn't published their business contributions report. I was talking to Lauren earlier this week, and they normally, I think, push it out by the end of the year. And that report lets you know by community or by town, you know, which nonprofits had applied to participate and which were approved. And then underneath within that same community, they do identify which companies participated and how much. So it goes to that detail, tells you how much each company is given. So that'll tell us really the nonprofits in Groton, how they performed in that program. The goal that I'm working on, or our team is working on, is conducting research on best practices. I think I hinted towards this earlier this year. What are other communities doing and how are they successful in this program? I've also talked to people who have historically applied with the Neighborhood Assistance Act program through the town and in other communities. Those that stopped working with this program say we can't find businesses, and like businesses do not want to partner with us on some of our efforts. So another part of our research is understanding, you know, what is it about businesses that really deter them from participating in this program? Is it lack of information? Is it, you know, understanding of what the process is or the implications are if you participate in this type of program? We're planning to host an informational session either late January or early February next year. And by that point, I want to be ready to say, I have a couple of speakers available. Let's, you know, invite all the nonprofits in the community and some of the businesses and, you know, talk about what the program is, you know, what challenges other communities experience, how they overcame those challenges, and how to help nonprofits better position themselves or even communicate with businesses, because maybe there's a disconnect between, you know, how you're communicating and not necessarily that, you know, businesses do not want to partner with you in some of these things. The goal is also to work either with the local chamber of commerce or the regional one, see from their level how they could help us kind of communicate better with businesses without us violating the process that the Neighborhood Assistance Act currently has. Because currently we cannot influence any business to participate in this organization, but we can inform people about the program. Like they don't have to, you know, it's a choice. Yeah, so.
It seems like the nonprofits know about the program because we had plenty of nonprofits apply. They might not know the piece about you have to go find a business and here's how you could approach Pfizer and Electric Boat and Groton Utilities and Staples and whoever, CVS. So you're talking about trying to help the nonprofits learn how they could do that part better. And also maybe are communicating with some of the big businesses
You say our, you mean?
the town?
That's the challenge. We cannot influence, we cannot, we can generally kind of inform organizations, but we
Can't
cannot.
solicit.
We can't.
Town, of course, can't solicit, yes. No, but you can send information, you can inform, or,
Generally, or through other mediums like the Chamber of Commerce, or that type of thing. Yes, yeah. Or post it on town website, or newspaper or article, that type of thing.
okay, so I'm hearing the town has to be careful
Yeah.
that they don't cross a line from informing, that then it's such that it becomes soliciting businesses. Okay, I understand that. Can't solicit businesses, okay. Wonder if the Rotary, any of the other clubs like the Rotary can help. The Rotary connected to businesses? Anybody know?
It's made up of business people, and that's their philosophy, I guess, or whatever it is.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And through communications with other communities in the state, some have gone outright and said, it's who we knew. They've said that we also had challenges communicating with businesses. So we ended up saying, okay, who do you know working for these companies? And, that will be able
Exactly.
to get this form in front of someone who needs to see this and would make that decision, So, I mean, there's really no restrictions from, private sector, but, whatever works, as long as it's legal, obviously, not, not forced.
Right, of course, okay. So at this point, we don't know, you said the state hasn't released the
No, yeah.
list.
Know that.
We don't know which businesses, so we don't know who's
At least a couple of them did some.
That's too bad.
I
yeah.
know, not necessarily a finalized submission, but the city approved the Groton utilities
Right.
allocations of resources to a nonprofit. I think that's the most I can say, because I don't
At
know.
least one made it.
Well, I can't say that they
Perhaps.
communicated, because then they have to submit the forms and
Or surmising.
yeah. So
Are utilities part of the city? Is it a governmental entity?
I believe it is.
Yeah, I think it is too.
and I know through their
It's a
communication.
complicated, I mean, it's its own municipal energy.
Right.
There is a relationship with the city, and exactly the nature of that relationship, I'm not clear, but,
If you look at, I think it's the September or September, October, I think in September meetings, you will find the recording of that discussion. And they did note that they only approve one application per year. That's something that I found interesting. So, and they didn't say the amount they will work towards, or they just said one application. So I don't know. Because there were organizations that applied for less, and they weren't the ones that they had selected to work with.
right.
I think the application that they discussed in that meeting was not the full 150. I think they had less than 150. They could have distributed the funds if, but I don't know how they came to the decision to work with only one.
All right, so we're waiting on more information to know what's gonna happen with that one, okay.
I'm also communicating with, organizations such as the United Way, trying to build that database of nonprofits in the area. I know they have their own efforts that they do within the communities. So any ideas are welcome, because I want to make sure those who need to receive this information get the information and, make decisions based on that. And not just because they don't know, what I mean? I think it's better when you know and still say, no, we don't want to participate, then that's up to you, yeah.
Those companies, don't they have to be approved by the state?
The businesses, I'm sorry, there's a lot of
The
organization,
nonprofit.
business
Not
company.
The nonprofits, the utility company who's going to.
Yes,
Well,
yeah, they have to submit forms, and that's why I said we can't for sure say if they allocated those funds, because they have to go through their
And does
process.
the state have a list of all of those?
That's what's to be published
Okay,
for this year, but they published last year's contributions.
Ones that were approved
Yeah,
last year.
yeah. So for this year, I think they're still working around.
Okay.
The deadline for that one, I think it was September 15th of October. It was one of those
That sounds
dates.
familiar, yeah.
Yeah, for businesses, yes.
Right.
And so that's a deadline they had.
And it was a short deadline between when the town approved
Yeah,
the
it was-
nonprofits and when the,
Ours was July 1st, something yet? I think it was July 1st
it
that
was
they
a really long
wanted.
time.
Yeah, there was a narrow window, but I think
Very,
it was
yeah.
the state's window. I don't think it had anything to do with the
But the
town.
town had to approve first for them to
Wait.
go.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right, any other unfinished business? Anything related to any of this or anything else anybody wants to bring up? Oh, okay. Then we get to go to new business, which is election of officers. And we already did the meeting schedule just as part of our minutes. We approved that. Election of officers. I'm willing to stay chair if the group wants me to. I'm also happy, Marge, if at any point you want to turn at chair, perfectly happy.
No,
Yeah. No,
we're good.
we're good.
We are very
You're
good.
happy as vice
I'm
chair.
right, yeah.
Okay, Marge is happy to be vice chair. Is there anyone else? I don't think there's anyone else interested in stepping up from my sense of things. So, but we do need nominations. If someone would move a nomination for chair.
Well, I'll make a nomination. I'll nominate Natalie to be chair.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marge, Dana, okay, great. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Yeah. And I'll make a motion to, I nominate Marge Gookins to be our vice chair.
Okay.
Great. Nat and Marie. And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good. And we're not going to do secretary because until David becomes a permanent member, he can't officially be secretary. So that will be a plan down the road. We just won't have a secretary on paper for now, which is fine. Not a problem.
Be determined.
Be determined. Okay,
In quotes, David.
and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, I guess I made a motion to adjourn. Marge seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. You opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.